It's Dino time!
Hey guys, it's Adam here. I am back with part 2 of our How to Draw a Dino Dog series. Today we're going to be looking at another set of traits. Basically, this whole series is designed to walk you through how the 2D process of illustration works whilst we create our good and our bad factions of dino. So in part 1 we did a baronified or bad dino, and this week we're going to look at a good dino. So I've taken a random set of combinations and we're going to start looking at how these traits might change when we turn it into a follower of Rover, one of the sons of Rover. So let's just dive right in. I'm going to open up the layers here and we're going to make a duplicate of this backwards hat. So I'm going to swipe it to the left and hit duplicate, and then as before I'm just going to double click it and hit rename and call it Rover, just so I know which one it is. So one of the things I thought might be fun for the roverified traits was to flip the caps backwards. My feeling is that if you're a real gangster, you're a real bad guy, you're actually not going to do your caps backwards. So I'm thinking the baronified ones might just have much leaner hats, covering more of their face, whereas the roverified ones, we're going to flip them around the other way. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over here to the top left where we have this arrow icon, and I'm going to change that to uniform, and I'm going to say flip horizontal. And now I'm going to position it roughly where I think I want it. And then I'm going to go to warp, and I'm going to reshape it a bit because obviously this way around it's actually obscuring a lot of the face. So we're going to, one of the things I think again would be fun for the roverified dinos, the good guys, is that they obviously are showing more of their face. So this is, I'm going for more of a 90s hip hop vibe. So we're going to flip this way. We're just going to shape it so it's a little less bent, and in the process of which it might get warped, but that's okay because we're just going to redraw any line work that we happen to mess up if that happens. So this is just going to try and shape it a little bit. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. I want to see more of the eye, so I'm lifting it up where I can. But it's a little tricky in some places because I don't want to make the cap look weird. So yeah, that's all right for me. Right, so I'm going to go back to my brush tool, and now I'm using 2 fingers to rotate the view here. So what I tend to do is I want to work on this thing here, right? So I'm going to rotate it to its straight because I can get an easier brush mark when it's straight. So what I'm going to do is rotate it to this way. I'm going to go to my eraser brush, which is also set to the technical pen. Anyone who watched part 1 will know the technical pen is the one I use mostly for this illustration. I'll switch it to a black pen, and then I'm just going to try and redraw this line. I want it to be clear. So one of the things about this particular style of illustration is that I want my lines to be as crisp as possible. So I'm just coming in and cleaning up some stuff. Like here, for example, really close up, you can see there's a little nodule, so I'm just going to clean that. Right, okay, so that's fixed that. The next thing is our logo is now backwards. So what I'm going to do is erase it and put a new logo in. So first thing I'm going to do is hold down my finger on the grey here so I can sample that grey colour. And I am actually going to erase this guy. And in the process of which I'll probably be erasing this highlight, but that's okay. And I'm going to give him, I'm not going to give him quite the same logo. So let's go and bring in an image to put on top of that. So you can do that if I make an extra layer, and I'm going to go over to the gallery in the top left and hit the spanner icon, and I'm going to say insert a photo, and you've got some of various family photos of mine. I'm going to go to albums and the Dinodawgs album, and I've got a few things here. So they've got the logo. I've also got the In Rover We Trust emoji, and next to it, you can't see it because it's a PNG, but this image in the middle should be an In Rover We Trust text. So let's bring that in. Oh no, that's the actual Dinodawgs logo. So we'll pop that to one side. I'll turn visibility off. Let's add another layer and do that again. Insert a photo, and this time we'll try This one, that is completely blank, so I don't want that either. Let's try again. Here we go, back in. Icon, oh, it's just loading. It's restoring from memory because I shut it accidentally. Right, open up layers again, another layer. Spanner icon, insert a photo, albums, Dinodawgs. Let's try, we'll try to take this guy. Okay, that's another one. We might try and put that on the hat. And one more time, insert a photo. This time we'll take this guy. Okay, that's got a white background we'll have to get rid of. And we'll do one more to see if I have got the In Rover We Trust logo. Insert a photo. I guess it's that one. And no, that's white as well. Okay, so it looks like I didn't export transparencies, but that's fine. That's not a problem. So the way, if I wanted to put In Rover We Trust on the hat, what we would do is we take this. So I'm going to go to this layer, and I'm going to just move that over to here, roughly. Right, I'm going to go to the layer, and I'm going to hit the N icon, and I'm going to turn the opacity down. Now, what this will allow me to do is see where it sits on the hat. So I'm going to just, oh, what happened there? Cancel. It seems to have undone my move. That's slightly annoying. Bring it back, In Rover We Trust. And, okay. I'm going to go back to the scale option. Right, that's pretty good. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to be able to try and select that text. So we're going to try this. We are going to try to select using this sort of S-shaped icon. I'm going to go to automatic, and I'm going to hit, there we go. What I'm doing here is I'm hitting the white and dragging the threshold. Now the further I drag it, the more it's going to select. It's like a sort of influence area. I don't need a lot here, I just need a bit. So I'm going to go through the letters, and I'm just going to try and select as all the white areas. That one's going to be tricky. Well, that one is going to be tricky. Let's just undo that last. Oh. Let's try this again. This way it gets a little fiddly. The reason that's getting fiddly, and actually I can probably solve it, is because the white on the edge here just joins up. Okay, let's maybe just save myself from this happening again. Right, we're going to try again. S-shape automatic, T, S, U, R, T, E, W, N, I, R, O, V, E, R. Okay, perfect, we've got them all. Right, I will now select a new line. You can see it's sort of cross-shaded where we've not selected. So now I'm going to select the pen, and I'm literally just going to colour that in. I'm just going to colour that in with a black pen. I'm sort of lifting it from the other image. Okay, now let's turn off. There we go, done it. Right, perfect. Right, now I'm probably going to blur that in a little bit and smooth it out, but for now I'm just going to pop that on the hat. What I might also do is run a distort or a warp and just sort of try to see if I can bend it, bend it a little bit around the cap, just to give it a little bit of shape, as if it was pinned on the hat. Okay, there we go. Right, so we've got our In Rover We Trust. Do I like that bend? Not sure. I might just switch to a uniform and just position it instead. I think that's better. Okay, so we've got In Rover We Trust on the hat. All right, so the hat's looking okay. It will need a little bit of shadow. That's the other thing that we're missing. So we're going to hit plus. I'm going to drop this layer, drag it underneath the Rover hat, which is a little tricky. There we go. And I'm going to go back to our pen. I'm going to make the brush size bigger. I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to draw underneath the hat. And then I'm going to go to my transparency setting again and just reduce that. So we've got a little bit of shadow underneath the hat. Cool. All right, so we've got our first roverified trait. Let's move on to the moustache next. So I'm going to go down to our mouth category, and I'm going to go to the moustache. And as before, I'm going to hit duplicate, turn off the original, double click this and rename it Rover. Okay, so I want this guy to have the most epic moustache possible. So this is going to be interesting because I can tell you this moustache was one of the hardest traits to do, to get right anyway. So I'm going to work on top of the image. I'm going to hit an extra layer, and we're just going to see if we can't like make something like hugely. Do we want that, or do we maybe want like the handlebar? Oh, the handlebar moustache is very tempting, I have to say. Look at that. Woof. Yeah, that's fun. Okay, that is a lot of fun. Okay, so what we're going to do here then is we're just going to reshape this to our roverified version. So I'm going to go back to the original, and I'm going to just delete, make my brush a bit bigger, just rub out these end bits. I've got to be careful here because what I don't want to do is delete the mouth. So, yep, there we go, boom. Now I'm going to come back to our new layer, and I'm going to just try and add a little bit of character by getting some sort of more brush-like mouths to make it look like the hair of the moustache. It's got a this one's got a very like Scotty dog kind of vibe. Love it. Cool. All right, that's come together quite nicely. Right, now let's just see if we want to reshape it a little bit. I'm going to go back in and go to the little arrow icon and then warp, and I just want to see if I can add just a little, yeah, there we go. I just wanted a little more bend on that without having to redraw it. So there we go. Now I'm going to switch up to a black pen, drop my brush size a bit, and I'll do the line work for the outside. So I want to get this in sort of a fluid motion, so you might see me undo a few times and redraw. There we go. Yep, perfect. This is genuinely, I feel like, the hardest skill with this is having a steady hand, and this is why you'll see me like rotate the canvas quite a lot, because I'm trying to get it where I can literally rest my hand on the iPad and draw out the angle I want. Oh, this one's tricky. Woof, there we go. Oh, this is like one of my new favorites, I have to say. Loving this trait. I think that's often the case with when we're designing here. There's a lot of traits we made that never saw the light of day. You guys won't have seen, but there's a lot that, you know, that we did release. But in making that balance, you know, we deleted some and we added others, and you just got to see what works. Right, that's still raising the old one. Let's go back to this. I'm going to add some of that darker brown in, and now we'll do some of these darker patches. Okay, just get some of these. Actually, I don't know if I need a bigger. Kind of want a bigger brush, but it doesn't really work. I've just got to come in and do the work. But oh no, too much. Tried to cut a corner there, and it backfired. I should probably be doing, if I was doing this on an extra layer, I could probably be a little more cavalier, because then I wouldn't affect my my line work on the black pen. But annoyingly, I have just steamed right in, so that's not going to happen. Okay, cool. All right. Now, a lot of these traits I draw here today for this exercise, I'll be honest, I'm probably going to come back and refine a lot of this work, but it's the whole notion of sharing with you guys how the process works, which I think is important. And of course, if anyone does choose to get stuck in with Procreate, show your work. You know, show it in the community. I think everyone would like that, and I'm happy to offer feedback. Okay, so we've got what I think is quite a nice design. Right, I'm also going to add a couple extra teeth. Why? Just because I want to start making the traits a little more varied. So I'm going to, I'm probably going to merge this down now. So let's go and select our layer, click it once, and you can hit merge down. It'll merge it with the layer underneath. So now we have the smile integrated. So I'm probably just going to add a couple of extra teeth here, because I think it gives them a little more character. Boom, boom. So I'm just dragging, holding down and dragging that color into a completely sealed area. And I'm going to add a little bit of flare here. Boom. The last thing we're going to do is add that shadow again. So I'm going to hit the plus icon to add a layer, drop it below the one we're working on. Nice thick black pen. So we'll do, remember it's underneath, so I can draw over my drawing. I don't know if do I need it on the teeth. I'll do, tell you what, I'll do a little bit behind the teeth. Oh, boom. Just a bit, because we're going to drop the transparency of this. And then I'm going to go to my opacity, turn that down. Cool. It's kind of awesome. Right, now some of this line work I feel could be like a little neater, like sometimes you do just come back and boom. Do I like that? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Okay, cool. So we got our Scotty dog moustache, and we are now going to go on and have a look at, well, we should look at the pirate eye, and we should look at the skin. So let's skip up to eyes. So we'll leave the mouth on. Scroll down, pirate eye. Okay. How do we make this roverified? It's a good question, because it's an innately kind of, you know, evil looking thing. So one of the things I thought would be might fun would be to add sort of Rover's signet on the pirate eye. Let's just turn the hat off for a second, just so we can see what we're working with. So we're just going to turn these bits off. Right, so first thing I'm going to do is probably take the cross, look out of it. Now, I don't want to make the Rover guys look goofy. I kind of just want to make them look determined, So we're going to just switch that up a little bit. What could we do with the skull? Well, we could have the symbol of Rover in there. We could make the whole patch a different color. I think we can do this potentially. We could add, the crown, but I think it might be better just to take that out altogether. So let's go to black. We'll take out the little skull. And instead, we're going to add a golden crown. Well, what I might do actually is just get that dino. I'm probably going to bring in that Dinodawg logo. So again, we'll go to the spanner icon, insert a photo, go back to albums, Dinodawgs. Let's take the logo. And do we have, let's make this, we'll switch the colors of this as well. So I'm going to put it here for a second. I'll drag this to white. Okay. Let's just, perfect. I'll drag that onto his eye. And I'm going to rotate it just a wee bit. And then I think I might just, what I'm going to do actually, I want the negative space, which as some of you know is the other form of our logo. So I'm just going to select this, and then I'm going to add a layer, fill it with white. Bom, 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 bom. There should be our inverted logo. There it is, perfect. And then we're going to add the classic Rover crown. So, too thick. Make this much smaller. Bom, 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 bom. Ah, too much, too much. Let's do that manually. I might also just highlight his eye a little bit more so we can see it. Now, some of this I'll probably come in and blur. There's a little, this is a smudge button, but I don't think that's going to do it. So later on I'll come back and I'll probably just clean this up. I want to make that as visible as possible. Right, so let's turn the hat back on. Dunk, dunk, and dunk. Oh look, we had the logo there. Could have stolen it from there. That's fine. Right, we're going to go down to the skin. There we go. And we're going to go to the yellow sort of giraffe style skin. And again, just so I know what I'm working with, I'm going to call it Rover. And the first thing I'm going to do is look at making it a shade lighter. So we might just go there and drag this on. Now it should affect both, if I do a high threshold here, it should affect both shades. That's actually a little too light. Let's go for something fun. Let's go for brighter or a yellow. Let's see, what can we do? What can we do with this? So I should stress that I rarely plan my work. We're just diving in, you know, and seeing what we can make. That's quite fun. Do we like that? There's the old one, there's the new one. It's a little more healthy. Okay, and so then I'm going to select the spots. Actually, first thing I'm going to do before I do that is just fix this little error here. Not sure where that came from. Make our brush a bit bigger. Right, now let's select our spot color. Okay, now this pattern sits behind the lines, so we can actually draw pretty carelessly. We don't need to focus too much. What I want to do is start offering up, you know, different. A lot of our patterning, the spotty patterns, there's color variation, but there isn't always like a distinctive difference in the pattern. So I'm going to try and add that into the factions where you get a little more variation between your color traits. So we're going to go with something like this to make it a little more unique. I think I'd like the roverified traits. I mean, you can guess with the just to be a bit more detailed. So that's why we're going in. Here and just adding a little more detail to this. I'd like to be their defining characteristic. So it's a lot more. He's a lot more like giraffe-like here. Cool. All right. So we've got skin, we've got mouth, we've got hat, we've got eye. We've still got collar and a background to do. I'm going to run through those quite quickly. Right, background. We're going to duplicate the background again, and I'm going to take something we did. Something I did for our example file, which was to add a sort of lighter glow around it for the roverified characters. Now that's not necessarily picking up hugely well, so let's hit a plus icon for another layer, and we'll go to our brushes, and then we'll see if there's anything fun in here that might just bring this out. So textures are always fun. So some of these we put into the caps in the first round. Might try to play with that. We can do things like this, where we take, say, the green in the background, you know, and we make a big brush, and we can do stuff like this, which is certainly quite bold. That could go underneath the glow as well, which brings the glow out a little bit more. That's quite fun. We could do something like that, or we could try something else. We could do stuff with light, so we can go down to things like luminance here and play with light brushes, or the nebula. So the nebula is basically that is a lot of fun. That's how we started doing the space dinos. That's very cool. So we might play with the nebula. Again, I'm just going to turn that off. And the other thing we can play with is things like glimmer, which should, that's that one I don't like. Let's get rid of that, delete. And we'll go to the brushes again. Broken lights is fun. That's a bit like a vignette. So again, that's maybe a little too bubbly. Maybe we turn the size down. Maybe we turn the lightness up. Yeah, it's sort of fun, but it's not the best. Let's have a look. Light pen is great. Light pen is how we did the. I mean, light pen is a lot of fun, legitimately. So let's just see if we can't just trace our dino. Wow. That's very cool. I like that a lot. So we might just turn it down a little bit and turn, if I turn, there we go. That's looking really cool. Okay, digging that a lot. Love the outer glow. All right, so we've still got the collar to do. So let's go up to our collar layer, and we're doing the radio collar. So I think the radio collar for a roverified dino is just more gear. So we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to start drawing. I'm going to add a layer. We're going to start drawing more stuff effectively. So I'm going to switch back to a black pen. I've got to make sure my brush is set on, I think it's under inking, technical pen. Perfect, very good. And yeah, let's see what we can add here. So we'll try adding another sort of box. I'm going to make this a bit like a, like a Batman utility belt. That's the plan. So let's add another one of these. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, we'll add that shading too. And, oh, too much. Let's add that, but lower the thresholds, it's just the side. Perfect. Bonk. Okay, we'll do a little reshape on this, because I've drawn it a bit too wonky. Perfect. Good stuff. All right, and I'm going to do a new, so we've got that there. Let's see if we do something that's a little more graph-based, maybe. I tell you what, let's do levers. So we'll do one with a switch coming out. If I can get my head around how to draw that. Boom. Switch on. Switch off. Alright, and we can make them the red. We can do a red button, and we can do a green button. Oh, okay, too much there, too much. Right, let's just drag it into the right area. Boom, boom, boom. And again, we'll refine these. This is just me quickly doing this live on the spot. As I said earlier, no planning, just like to dive in and create some stuff for you guys to see how the process works. Do I like that black? Do I like it something else? Quite like it as it is, actually. Okay. Just clean this up a little bit. Oh. Now, erase is not what I want there. I just want to add the grey in. Perfect. So I'm just trying to clean these marks up. And I guarantee you guys, as I said earlier, I'm gonna come in and spend a bit more time on all of these, but it's the principle of what we're doing. Okay, so we've got another one. What else do we want to add? I think it might be fun to have some cabling. So we're going to add something like this. And let's see if we can add... part of me wants to do that Inspector Gadget style, like a microphone. Pretty good. The other thing I'm going to have to do after this is make sure this works with, of course, make sure this is going to work with all my other layers. Like I think this would not work with a muzzle, for example. So we are going to have to check afterwards, and I might end up moving stuff around a little bit. That is one of the other things for those of you who are going into NFTs or going to make your own collection. You always have to make sure all your traits work with each other, and so you will routinely maybe cut some from the collection or change them up depending on what is and isn't going to work. So I can tell you that the muzzle from the original OG collection was very problematic, and we had to redo it a couple of times to get it to work. Okay, there's my mic. So I might just make this thicker too. Oh, boom. I wonder if I've gone too far now. Have I done too far? Whoop. No, I think that's okay. All right, so there's one little bonus thing I want to do. So he's got his mic, he's got his additional radio gear. I think I might add a red cable as well, because I really like that curly cable. Oh, this one I might sit behind though, so I'm going to have another layer, drop it down so the black one sits on top. Oh, it's a little bit too thick. Cool. Let's just get rid of this. There we go. It's got a red cable, got a black cable, got our mic, our extra box. The one thing I really want to do is add Rover himself to this medallion here. So it's got an R on it. Obviously it's meant to be a Rover collar. So what we're going to do is just make it a tad larger. And I'm just going to go take one of those Rover images that you saw me load in earlier and put it inside the medallion. So again, we'll go insert a photo. We will take Rover himself. There he is, huge. We're going to put him on the collar, roughly. I will turn down his transparency just a bit, and let's, very good, let's just shrink this down a bit more. There, that's looking good to me. And we're going to, again, use the little S button to select. We're going to select all the white area, and I'm going to get my eraser, and I'm going to get rid of that background crudely, but that's okay. And then we'll come back, we'll turn this back up, we'll get rid of some of this. And now we want it to sit on the medallion, so I'm going to just have a look by going to pressing the N button and seeing if one of our overlay layers, oh, there we go. So soft light looks good, you get a sort of hint of it. Hard light's quite good too. Let's just see if any of these look like they, I want it to look roughly like it's printed on there. So darken and multiply are always solid options. Overlay's not bad. I do think that hard light is probably the best one. Just going to get rid of some there, and we'll go to a black pen. We're going to skip back to our actual medallion. In fact, I might just go on this layer. Oh, let's just make my brush a bit bigger. Maybe not that big. Oh, this is the hard part, getting these curves. Right, there we go. Let's pull out. There we go. We've got Rover on his collar, and we're going to give that just a little highlight by selecting this color, going to a lighter shade of it, and just, again, I'm going to make an extra layer, and I need to make this a bit brighter actually. And there we go, a little highlight on the edge, and we might just play with the opacity a bit. I kind of want it to match that other one, but annoyingly I'm going to have to do this the other way around. So once we're happy with it, we'll sample that, and then we'll just merge down. So we'll say merge down, merge down, merge down, merge down, and merge down. And the last thing I'll do is just take that tone and drag it onto the other one so they match. Cool. All right, lovely. So there we have it. We have our first roverified dino. He feels like a tech guy, tech support. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll do another one in the next few days. I'll get these tidied up in the meantime, so this works with everything. But yeah, liking this guy. Right, see you for part 3.